What's up?
Chamatkar Sandhu here at SENI 2014, the Combat Strength Show, standing alongside Michael the Count Bisping. Michael, how are you?
I'm very well. I'm having a great time here at SENI, the biggest martial arts convention in the world. It's a great turnout and it's a great day.
Happy to be home?
Oh, 100%. You know, I've lived out in the States for about 3 years now, but there's no place like home. You know, the kids are settled in school out there, but if I had my way, I'd move back tomorrow. I really would.
Yeah, you miss it that much?
Oh, 100%. It's always nice to come back to England.
Has it been nice to kind of greet and meet all the fans today?
Yeah, 100%. You know, when Joe first talked to me about coming out here for SENI, straight away, you know, I wasn't bothered really too much about finances or anything like that. I said, I want to come out here and just interact with, you know, the martial arts public of England because, you know, they're the guys that have been very, you know, they've supported my career throughout the years and, you know, I live in America and I don't want people to think that I've just turned my back on, you know, the UK and, you know, oh yeah, life's been good and then I piss off to America. That's not the case at all. I've gone out there pursuing my training, you know, but, you know, so it was nice to come out here, interact with the public and just get to meet a few people.
Brilliant. Well, let's go back a couple of weeks. Obviously, you know, great performance against Kung Lee. Now reflecting, yes. Did you have a lot of pressure put on yourself by yourself heading into that fight?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, that was in some ways a make or break situation. You know, I proclaimed, you know, to be one of the best, if you will. I won a title shot. I believe I can be world champion. Had a couple of setbacks along the way, you know. I've learned from that. I've gained a lot of experience. But if I was to lose that fight to Kung Lee, it would have really set me back. And, you know, a lot of people would have been suggesting I retire and things like that. And I was like, no way, listen, there's a lot of life in the old dog yet, you know. So I wanted to go out there and prove to the world. And fortunately, I did that. Kung Lee was... he was a tough opponent, you know, that guy's got a lot of heart, man. I've got nothing but respect for that guy because, unfortunately, I put a bit of a beating on the guy, but he took it like a man. You know, he had 3 broken ribs, a broken jaw, a broken nose, and a fractured orbital, and he still carried on fighting, you know, so nothing but respect for the guy. But yeah, it was a good performance.
Well, since that fight, you obviously started off in Macau.
Yes.
You went to California to do some work for the UFC.
Yep.
Then you're in Sydney to promote the fight with Rockhold and you're back here. So right. A little bit jet lagged?
Yeah, you know, I don't even know what day it is or what time it is right now. As you say, I've been all over the world and I go back to LA in 2 more days. So it's been a whirlwind tour, but I'm not complaining. You know, as I said to you before, it beats working for a living. Yep. You know, I'm very fortunate to be in the position I am. I love what I do. Started off doing martial arts when I was 8 years old, and the fact that I've turned it into a career and a good career as well, I'm very, very fortunate. So no complaints from me.
Well, let's talk about Luke Rockhold. That's your next fight, November 8th in Sydney. You happy about this fight?
Oh, 100%. You know, the guy called me out for a long time now, for about 2 years. His last 2 wins in the UFC, he called me out on the microphone afterwards. So obviously, you know, I responded. So I called him out on the mic after my last fight. He's wanted it for a long time. He's made it very, very personal. We had a press conference in Sydney 2 days ago to talk about the fight, to announce the fight. And man, that guy talks a lot. He hates me. He absolutely hates me. I think I'm an all right guy, but I get under his skin, man. He does not like me one little bit, and it's all right because we're going to fight and we're going to get a chance to settle our differences.
Do you think this is one of those situations where maybe some people don't get the British humour, didn't get your banter when you made that remark about being the unofficial Strikeforce champion, and it's just snowballed into becoming a bit more personal?
Yeah, well, not for sure. I mean, to be fair, in some respects, I did start it. I did say I'm the unofficial Strikeforce champion, but I was joking when I said it because we sparred, and the interviewer said, so how did the sparring session go? So I just said joking. I said, oh, well, let's put it like this. I'm now the unofficial Strikeforce champion. And then I laughed, and then I apologised. I said, Luke, if you're watching this, I'm only kidding, mate. I'm having a laugh. And he got really sensitive about it. Didn't see the funny side. I saw him at a gym one day. I went over, I apologised. I said, listen, mate, I was only having a laugh, you know, sorry about that. And he just can't get over it. And, you know, I'm going to have to slap him like a bitch. Simple as that. I'm going to have to fucking put a beating on him because he's an arsehole. I was having a coffee with my dad after the fight in Macau. The next morning, as I said, just catching up with my old man. And he came over and he intruded there and started shouting and screaming and saying, I'll finish you in 1 round. And I was like, man, come on. I'm having a coffee with my dad. There's a time and a place. And this isn't it. And he carried on. So
is that when it became personal for you, when he approached you and your dad?
Yeah, for sure, man. Do you know what I mean? We're professionals, you know. And yeah, you know, in interviews or whatever, sure. But if I see him sat with his mum or his dad or his family, you know, you're not going to go over and do that. That's just... it's unprofessional and it's in very bad taste. And yeah, you know, we're going to fight. Listen, I'm not underestimating him. I know he's a very, very good fighter and it's going to be a tough fight. And I'll train accordingly. But he's underestimating me. He keeps talking about how he's going to walk straight through everything I've got. He's going to take me out in 1 round. You know, I know I'm in for a tough fight. He's a very, very solid fighter. He doesn't hold the same respect for me, and that's going to be his downfall.
You've been here before. It seems like this is one of those fights that could potentially get you a title shot. It hasn't worked out for you in the past when you've almost been there, but do you think if you can just climb this mountain, you can finally get that title shot you've been looking for so long now? Yeah,
absolutely. You know, I mean, as you say, Luke Rockhold, people are talking about him being, you know, potentially the next contender. So I agree with what you're saying. I think if I beat Luke and it's a good fight, I think hopefully I fight for the title. As you say, I have stumbled a couple of times, but I've learned from those mishaps, if you will, and I've come back a better fighter. I'm still in my prime. I still feel better physically and mentally. I had a setback with my eye. You know, but that's all good now. It doesn't look quite as sexy as what it used to do, but it still works and whatever. So, you know, but yeah, I'm going to beat Luke Rockhold and then I fight for the title. I think I match up well with Chris Weidman, you know, so obviously I'm going to say that. I'm a fighter. You've got to have confidence. But yeah, you know, but right now, Luke Rockhold, that's what I'm focusing on.
What did you make of Jacare's performance? He fought Masasi, you know, very dominant in that, in that victory of his. So a lot of people are thinking maybe he should be in line for a title shot too.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it was certainly a solid performance. You know, Musashi is he's a great fighter. He's a tough cookie. You know, he's a tough nut to crack. And Jacare looked very, very dominant, as you say. Out-grappled him, out-punched him, and submitted him in the 4th round. So it was good, but it was boring. You know what I mean? It wasn't a very exciting fight. And I think that's why Dana isn't saying he's the next contender, because by rights he should be. You know, he knocked out Yushin Okami. He's just beat Musashi. He was the former Strikeforce champion and he's been in a roll since he came to the UFC. But I just don't think that pay-per-view sells very well. And I think that's why he hasn't had the title shot yet. And that's why Dana's saying maybe one more. You know, I don't know. It's none of my business, really, what the UFC, what fights they make. But if I was a businessman, I don't know. I wouldn't pay $60 to watch Jacare fight Chris Weidman.
Fair enough.
I don't know.
Final question. If things don't work out for you in terms of a title shot, maybe in the next 6 to 9 months, would you like to finally get that fight with Anderson Silva? I know you've been wanting that fight for a very long time. And for you, I know that's as good as a title shot, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I've got nothing but admiration and respect for Anderson Silva. He's such a great fighter. And that's why I always wanted to fight him, you know, to be in the same weight class, in the same organisation for so long. You know, he's a legend. And when I'm an old man and I sit there, I want to be able to say, yeah, I fought Anderson, you know, win or lose. You know, it'd be nice to step in there with him. Who knows? Hopefully I still get a chance to do that one day.